Hello and welcome. It's 21st December 2012, last day of the Mayan calendar health research report. We had three simple topics this time. Primary reason why: it is close to Christmas and no one's releasing hardly anything as far as research articles coming out this close to December 25th, and especially this day, or the last day of the Mayan calendar. And the three topics we were so graced by that happened to come out were mealworms, alright, aspirin, and iodine. It may not be too impertinent to your health, so to say, but it still involves health. Alright, now number one. Let's start with mealworms. Now, mealworms are extremely environmentally friendly, and this article is published in the Public Library of Online Science in regards to being a highly sustainable food source for its protein source. Far more sustainable than pork, dairy, basically, and also chicken and beef, obviously. And so, on top of that, this is extremely efficient in regards to using land and resources, the amount of area, the whole lineup. It beats them all. In fact, a lot of these insects, which are edible, are highly easy to basically maintain and grow as a food source itself. And they said, quote, since the population of our planet keeps on growing, the amount of land available is limited, that this could be a possible solution. But also on top of that, it has basically, as far as being environmentally friendly, produces a lot less greenhouse gases and so on and so forth. And I tell you quite honestly, you talk about greenhouse gases, not just CO2. Animal husbandry, as far as cattle and pig and things like along those lines, create a tremendous amount of greenhouse gases. And so, if our world leaders who would like to basically tell people what to do and what to drive and how to turn the lights on, i.e. Al Gore, or let's say Bill Gates, or anybody else that wants to give the societal image of being better than thou because they mean better for us, well, it's about time they start sitting down to a plate of mealworms. When they start leading by those examples, when they start leading by actually leading and not telling you what's good for you, which is not good for them, then they'll add a lot more credibility to the meaning and soul they're putting behind their personal ventures, so to say. So, mealworms, sounds gross. Keep in mind, you got insects in your food already, whether you like it or not. Food dyes, caramelized coatings, you name it, there are bugs everywhere. Even food items which are not meant to have bugs in them have an allowable amount of bugs in them. And so keep that in mind. So, for the menu, in this next upcoming calendar, mealworms will be on it. Part of the reason why I'm a vegetarian, at least for the past few decades. Done more for the environment than any of those other guys have. Alright, next is aspirin. Now, regular aspirin used to 10 more years ago. To keep this in mind, this just means they used aspirin 10 years ago. They could have stopped. Is associated with the increased risk of age-related macular degeneration. Now, normally I wouldn't have paid this much attention to the article because, you know what, side effects are associated with anything. That's usually a medication. That's something that's breaking something to fix something. So think of it, whether it be blood pressure medication, antidepressant, we're all used to it. But what amazed me on this one is actually how little or how short a period of time you had to take aspirin in order to qualify for basically raising your chance of getting age-related macular degeneration from a 1.0 or 1% to the aspirin users of 1.8. Almost double. Alright, guess how long you had to take aspirin? A decade ago. Doesn't mean you still take it. It means you took it 10 years ago for a certain period of time. You only had to take 2 aspirin a week for what? 5 years? 2 years? 10 years? A year? Nope. In order to qualify for this wonderful group of 5,000 people which they studied, all you had to take aspirin for was twice a week, 2 tablets, for 3 months. Wow. Just 2 aspirin a week for 3 months. Was it a headache? A sprained leg? A cut? What is that? It's like hardly taking anything. And by doing that, your chance, and only taking it 10 years ago, and not taking it since the last 10 years, your chance of age-related macular degeneration goes from 1.0 for the control group to 1.8 for the aspirin wannabes. Now think about that. And how many people in the United States take aspirin on a daily basis now? I mean, daily. They think it's a freaking multivitamin. 19.3% of people right now take it on a daily basis. So what I like to see them do is do this one study and actually look at the rates of age-related macular degeneration, say that 3 times fast, for those people that take aspirin daily. Aspirin, people, is not a multivitamin. Yes, it's a wonderful substance, but keep in mind, this substance, aspirin, this wonder drug, breaks something to give you a desired effect, or in your case, maybe fix something, whether it's thin the blood, reduce a certain type of cancer down, reduce your headache from inflammation. It breaks something to fix something. So guess what? Another thing it breaks now is your eyes. You want to risk doubling your chance of blindness for taking aspirin twice a week for 3 months over a decade ago? Which, go for it. But at least now you know. So doctors and basically people, as far as picking up this wonderful substance, always look at the risk to benefit ratio. And now we come down to iodine. Iodine, they found out, or actually not found out, they've known for a long period of time. It's extremely important for pregnant women and infant development, especially with breastfeeding. And this article is published in the Journal of American Medical Association. Alright, but here's the problem. A lot of things in our environment inhibit iodine uptake, whether it be bromide or bromine, so I should say, in regards to our flour process, which ironically, iodine used to be added to our flour until the early 80s when we decided to replace it with bromide or bromine, for whatever reason, baking soda, who knows. Or whether it be fluoride in your water. Oh yeah, wonderful job on that one. Really good, genius move adding fluoride to water. Why? Because it blocks iodine and or thyroid uptake. What does that have to do with infant development? Well, let's start with IQ. When you start screwing around with iodine and you start inhibiting thyroid development, you're going to directly affect neurological development. Not just in a slight way. You're going to start reducing the intellectual capacity of that infant or child to be. So, what these doctors are recommending is basically looking at iodine as far as taking a supplement in conjunction with your pregnancy. Now, here's something more interesting than this. How many prenatals do you think have iodine in them, knowing how important this is development of a child and how little you get in a society? And don't plan on getting it from iodized salt either. We already know about that, I should say, conundrum, or dilemma, that most of the iodine that was supposed to be an iodized salt is not there because people are just too darn cheap to add iodide to iodized salt. Yeah. Are they lying to you? Well, unfortunately, due to studies not too long ago, a good majority of them are. So don't plan on it from that either. And iodine, as far as historically, well, when we did an iodized salt, what do we have? Goiter. But there's a lot of different levels of iodine deficiency than just goiter. So, how many of your children's or I should say your children's, no. How many of your prenatals actually have iodine in them? About 20%. So about 20% of your prenatal manufacturers actually have the ethics to basically make certain it is in the prenatal for basically the pregnant mother or the breastfeeding mother, which is a real strong plus for that 20%. The other 80% suck. So keep in mind, when you go to get a prenatal, even if it's from a frickin' hospital or a doctor, you make certain it's got the daily requirement of basically potassium iodine or iodine in it. Yeah, and I'm not talking about potassium iodine just from nuclear fallout and stuff like that to protect you from whatever. I'm talking about child development. And they said, quote, and this was very noble on their part, it is time for all healthcare professionals to make certain every pregnant and breastfeeding woman gets supplemental iodine during pregnancy and while they are breastfeeding. Alright, without being redundant. There is a concern that even a mild iodine deficiency in pregnant women could lead children to lower IQs, and only 20% of your prenatals actually have them. So keep in mind, it's important. Beside the fact that most of your politicians, which must be sucking down a ton of everything else but iodine, decide to make certain that your environment is loaded with iodine or thyroid antagonist. So that's it. 21st December 2012, last day of the Mayan calendar, and I'll catch you guys within about the next 7 days. Alright, cool. Catch you in a bit.